Okay, so it's all 10 millimeter. I'm gonna remove this bracket, take the hood attachment off. I marked the edges with a black marker so you know where it is when you go to put it back on. Also, on the inside, if you can see that bolt holding the overflow coolant thing on. And then there's a metal clip on there that doesn't come with your new one, that you're gonna swap off the old one and put it on the new one here. So this is the replacement fan. Got your connector down here on the bottom. Your coolant tank sits up here. And then these things here, those tabs click on each side. The upper ones, you'll need a flat bladed screwdriver to pop out of the holders. So you remove the electrical connection, which is down there. And my electrical connector is fried. So I went ahead and bought a replacement wire that once I have this out, I'm going to solder that in because I'll have more room because the radiator will be a little bit out of the way. The cooling fan will be not there, so I'll be able to get through here. Much more easy to get at it since I don't have a lift. I was gonna say, there's supposed to be a plastic shield down here. I don't know, when I bought this car, mine wasn't there, so I don't have it, but you probably, hopefully do. And after you take the brackets off, you just slide that out too. Make sure you don't lose your parts. Just move this over to the side, get that out of the way. Little ratchet again here. So, get that screw out, don't want to lose it. Might be able to just slide that off. Yep, so I got the clip, gonna put that on the new one. Don't forget to disconnect the power connector. So the end here going to the car and mine, I thought that was fried, but maybe not. Okay, so I'm just gonna wedge this screwdriver in here and try and pry this puppy up. Came up easy. The other side, I'm not gonna show that because I need my hands. Of course, make sure you haven't been driving this car recently. You don't want it hot and have coolant go everywhere. Burn yourself. I edited most of this out because the stupid spring clip, which I hate, on the radiator hose was a pain in the butt to get off with vice grips since I didn't have my channel locks. Try and put my channel locks back. It's the stupid little things that slow you up. Once I got the hose off the top, my coolant was still a little warm, but it was also very full, so it started spilling. And I was able to kind of bend the hose up and tuck it into the frame there to keep it from leaking anymore. The bottom half of the overflow tank also fits in a little clip there that you gotta lift up and kind of move out of the way. Okay, I lifted that up and out of the way. If you don't have a helper, I would also recommend maybe zip tying the overflow tank out of the way because it falls over on its side, gets in the way, and it starts leaking through the cap. And don't want that tilting over. Not to lose too much coolant here. So obviously this was just for driving over not even 5 minutes. So put my clip on there. See how it goes in. And here's where a second set of hands or zip tying the tank would have been helpful. Make sure you got it going the right way. Okay, make sure you got it lined up. Clicks in place. Lift, drop the overflow tank in the little slot below. The radiator hose back on so I don't lose any more radiator juice. And I guess I'll use this split connector. I'm going to make sure this works before I solder in the new one, because maybe I don't need to. Maybe it's still got a good connection, I hope. That would save me a lot of trouble. Okay, and I do not want to have an accident, so I'm going to slide the retainer ring back on the radiator hose just in case. I don't want stuff blowing off and creating a big mess. Okay, so not using the right tool, that was a major pain to get the stupid thing back on the radiator clamp. Gonna fire it up before I screw everything back together and make sure that I don't need to replace the wire connector too. Oh, sweet! And we have a connection. So I bought this thinking I had to replace it. And apparently I don't, because I switched the AC on. Now we have a functioning cooling fan. Woohoo! Okay, so now it's just a reverse. I already swapped the little metal tab here that you bolt the overflow tank onto. It's already clipped down in those clips. Yeah, the upper clips, those are seated. So I just need to attach that back, put the hood release back on, the two clamps. I don't have my top guard, unfortunately. And that's it. So it's really a pretty simple job. Kind of like when I showed you how to do the evap canister, that was even easier. So, I mean, you say what you want about like these HHRs. You know, I did the lower arms. I mean, a lot of this stuff is pretty easy to work on. And as you can see, when I put the hood release catch back on, I'll know how to line it up so I don't have to mess with adjusting it. Oh yeah, and I'll probably have to add some coolant back since lost a little bit on the removal of the upper hose. That can happen, obviously. So yeah, apparently I was talking to myself because it's so hot that it shut the video phone down. I just wanted to point out again that because I had this lined up, these behind the bolts, you'll see when you take it off, there's like a big square opening, so this whole thing can be adjusted. In case my car is very clean, so I wouldn't have known exactly where to put it, and if you don't mark it, you may have to like make extra work for yourself while you try and get realigned so it'll shut properly. If your air goes out and you got high miles, you know, these HHRs are getting old, and you think it's something to do with the compressor or the freon level, you know, it just stops blowing all of a sudden one day, make sure your cooling fan is actually still working, because if it goes out like mine did, and I think a lot of other people have this problem, that will keep your air conditioner from turning on the compressor because it would overheat the car and whatnot, or overheat something. Anyway, that's what I understood. So this is something you could do yourself. You can also determine whether or not your fan is kicking on by either letting the car get hot, or when you start it up, put the air on. And if the fan's not kicking on, that's likely the culprit. And you see how fairly easy it is to change it out yourself. Careful with the radiator hose. You don't want to do it with the car is hot. You could burn yourself, cause some serious burns. Don't do that. Maybe put something down to catch some of the coolant that is going to leak out, you know, as you remove it. So hope you find it useful. But yeah, the reason why I replaced this fan, because it wasn't working, I took it to an air place because I hadn't had air either, and they said, well, it blew the fuse cooling fan wasn't working. So when your cooling fan doesn't kick on and doesn't work, it won't make the air compressor run. So maybe you think you're out of freon or something, but you're not. It's just because the car is not functioning like it's supposed to. So now I got that working. I don't know if I have enough freon. It wasn't blowing cold, so I'll probably take it back to the shop and see if it needs some freon, or hopefully I didn't destroy the compressor down the road sometime when I was trying to troubleshoot this issue, not knowing what the fuck I was doing.